So here we go again. Hey, how you doing? How's your day going? The day that I'm recording this, I received not one, but 2 copyright claims on some of my reviews of Doctor Who episodes. And more interestingly, one was just a standard claim, the other was a block. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what's going on, what I am attempting to do about it, and how things are going to be impacted going forward, and also try and stem a certain amount of conspiratorial thinking. Because if you're a regular around here, you're very familiar with this. This is the disclaimer I put at the front end of all my Doctor Who videos, pointing out that while I know the Doctor Who team is not part of the news arm, the BBC news arm has been rampantly transphobic, and yes, that is still an ongoing issue. I'll have a short out tomorrow explaining why that hasn't changed anytime lately. And naturally, there's a fair amount of speculation in my comments that I am being targeted for my calling out of the BBC news arm. In the past, I have dismissed this possibility. I am currently, let's say, less inclined to dismiss it completely as I have before. I still feel that it is unlikely. Is it impossible? No. What it absolutely is, though, is unprovable. So it's a train of thought that at this point is unhelpful. I can't prove, unless the BBC sends me a threatening email from an official of the BBC saying, hey, drop the warning at the front end and we'll stop claiming your stuff. Unless I get something like that, no, I can't prove that. I'm still disinclined to believe it, partially because this is only happening right now, at least, with reviews of recent episodes. Now, it's not the most recent ones. The 2 that were claimed were 73 Yards and Dot and Bubble, which some of you folks might recognize if you've been watching these as 2 episodes that I adored and praised the hell out of, which brings me to my second point. Some people seem particularly befuddled or bemused at the fact that the BBC does this to me, despite the fact that these particular reviews are highly praising. Keep in mind that praise has nothing to do with copyright. These are not being claimed for being disparaging. They're being claimed because I use clips of the episodes to illustrate the points that I am making, which is something I have been doing for a very, very long time. But me saying that these episodes are good is frankly irrelevant. Now, just on the off chance, because I've seen people claim, like the people who say that the show's woke garbage, they never get this crap. I did browse around just a tiny bit on a site of YouTube that I really would rather not, and I had to scrub my history search as a result of that. But while I did not go too far down this rabbit hole, I did browse around a little bit, mainly to confirm a suspicion that I had, and it does largely confirm it, which is that those channels don't use clips. They use still images.
I thought, wow, they really are just like playing this too close to the nose, right on the nose with the ripoff here.
Actually, a lot of them tend to just read forum posts and or news articles written by sites that are also all about, oh, this is woke garbage. So they're not actually using footage, technically speaking. So even if the BBC wanted to do something about that, which again, they shouldn't be, you shouldn't be silencing criticism just because it's criticism, even when it is deeply wrong-headed and incredibly foolish. But there is no real footage in these. So again, it's not that they're letting some channels off the hook and hitting me with this. They're hitting me with this because I use clips. And if I'm being completely honest, it's probably true that I use clips more than a lot of people. I have figured out what, in the past at least, had been within the BBC's tolerance limit, and that seems to either have shifted or maybe they are targeting me. I don't know. Again, I can't prove it, so it doesn't matter. But the thing that's especially frustrating about this is, as I noted, one of these was just claimed, which is what happened last time. That's what happened to my Space Babies review. But in addition to that now, they blocked the Dot and Bubble one, which that hasn't happened to me since the specials, because I had an issue there where they blocked, I think it was the Star Beast one, They blocked the Star Beast on the basis that it had footage from the Giggle, which obviously it didn't, but the section that was blocked was from the title credits. So I did a whole video talking about what likely happened there. But I haven't received a block from them since then, and I hadn't really gotten one before that. And I understood why there was one on that. It was a mistake, and it was wrong, but I understood why it was there. This makes absolutely no sense, which, again, is why I'm not quite as firmly shutting down conspiratorial thinking as I might have before. But again, like, none of this is provable, so if we could keep that to a bare minimum. So at the time that I'm recording this, I have not yet heard back with my dispute and appeal, respectively. I am disputing the copyright claim and appealing the block. The difference is the appeal is actually me escalating it immediately to a higher level. The dispute is the lower level, where you just like send it back to the BBC and be like, could you double check this? I think you made a mistake. And if you weren't aware, YouTube actually has no part in this process. They're not determining anything. So when I dispute this, it goes back to the BBC, and the BBC will then decide if the BBC were correct to claim footage that they believe is from the BBC, and then the BBC will instruct the BBC as to whether to release the claim from the BBC that was citing footage from the BBC. So yeah, I am 100% in their hands and their discretion to release it. Now, after that, if I want to actually appeal it, I can, but that runs the risk of going to court, which is something that I jumped to on the 73 yards one. I am admittedly rolling the dice on that. I most likely cannot afford to fight them in court, which puts me at risk of receiving a copyright strike. But I am trying to push harder on this than I have in the past because this is BS. And I was frankly being spiteful over the fact that that one was blocked as opposed to just claimed. The claim is frustrating as hell. The block actively offends me. And not just because I like that episode, I'm actually incredibly proud of that review. That's one of the things of this year, at least, that I am the most proud of that I've made. I'm really happy with the results of that review. But they're doing this. So here's what's going to happen going forward. And this is going to happen regardless of whether I win either the dispute or the appeal or both. None of that is going to have any impact on what I'm going to do going forward. So as I noted, this is only happening on reviews of the newly released episodes. This, so far at least, has not happened on anything that I've used footage of from previous series of Doctor Who. So anytime that I've like pulled a little footage for like a list where I'm like naming the 10 best or worst of a certain kind of Doctor Who episode, and those clips are in, those haven't been touched. So at this point, I am going to assume that this is, for whatever reason, about the newest material. Now, I'm sure, again, some people are going to say, oh, I bet you it's actually Disney, and while not impossible, that is also unverifiable. The claim itself is coming from the BBC. So as far as I'm concerned, that's who I'm dealing with. Is Disney instructing them to be harsher than they used to be before stuff started getting aired on Disney Plus? That is possible, but again, unprovable. So that doesn't help me to speculate on that or to start going all, conspiracy board and red string on it. I can't prove any of that, so it doesn't matter either way. The BBC is who's claiming, the BBC is who I have to deal with. So what this means is any videos that would use footage from older episodes, from basically prior to things starting to go up on Disney Plus, I am going to continue to do the way that I would normally. This is going to include a few upcoming videos in the next month or so, where I will be pulling footage from older episodes to make the points that I plan to make in those videos. For reviews of new episodes going forward, here is what is going to happen. I am no longer going to be placing footage from new episodes in reviews of those episodes. I am incredibly angry about this because if all this was about was just me making the most money possible, then this would be an easy call. It's actually even less work for me to put that stuff in. So fine, I just won't use it. The thing is though, I very, very genuinely believe that my use of clips, how I use them and what I use, makes those videos and those reviews better. And it has raised the standard that I have for my own work. And it is a standard that I am not willing to drop over being pushed around on this. So here's what's going to happen. On the videos uploaded to YouTube, you will no longer be seeing any clips used. That doesn't mean that there won't be a version with clips on it, but that's going to be on Patreon. And for clarity, it is not going to be hidden behind a paywall. If you weren't aware, the way that I use Patreon, most things that go up are viewable by the public. You don't actually have to pay. Now, there are some things that are exclusive to the folks who actually contribute to the Patreon. Things like seeing my docket for the upcoming month, access to the Discord, and getting access to videos in advance of when they become public. But once a video is public on here, it's also public on Patreon. So what I'm going to be doing is uploading directly to Patreon let's call them the director's cut preferred versions of these videos. What I want and how I want to present it is going to be over there. And so if you want to see it, that's where you're going to have to go. As for here, I might try using still images, but it's going to be restricted to that when talking about brand new episodes of Doctor Who. And that's going to be the case going forward for the foreseeable future. Because as much as I would like to fight this on the principle, because it's wrong, like it's all wrong. You know, people will bring up, well, isn't fair use on your side? Yes, it is. It absolutely is. These are works of critique and analysis. This is commentary and criticism. It is defended under fair use. But that doesn't matter. Fair use doesn't stop them from claiming it in the first place. Fair use only comes up as a defense that I can use if I actually take this to court. I can claim that it is fair use. But I can't prevent them from doing this because it's fair use. And again, YouTube will not come in and make their own judgment and determine correctly that I'm doing fair use. They completely remain hands-off on this. They always have, and they generally almost always will be and are in pretty much all situations like this. It's very rare that they step in and do anything themselves. So, yeah. The review videos, and at this point, it's just one. It is just going to be the video on the upcoming finale, The Empire of Death. But unfortunately, it's also going to impact any video where I make in the future that isn't necessarily a review, but would have used clips from this era. So when I do my eventual overview of the season and, a ranking of the episodes of this season, that's not going to have clips. Now, whether I'm going to make alternate versions of stuff like that, I don't know, but the actual review, I definitely plan to do that. The intended directorial version will be on Patreon. The version that will hopefully get the BBC to leave me the hell alone will be here on YouTube. So that's where things are right now. That's where they stand for the foreseeable future. I'm real tired of this. And my ability to deal with it is limited. And as for the two videos that are currently affected, one claimed, one blocked, if they reject my dispute and or appeal, I will have to do what I did with Space Babies, which is chop them up all to hell. Basically remove all the footage, even if it has my audio under it, because, and YouTube, will you get on this? Just let me edit the video and audio portions separately. I know you isolate those as separate tracks. I can see that you distinguish them, but you don't let me edit them separately. I would happily cut out the visuals and have a black screen over my words still saying the points I want to make. But unfortunately, since I sometimes put footage over me speaking because the footage enhances the point I'm making, a whole bunch of my points are just going to be removed. When I've had to do this, it has removed anywhere from 6 to 8 minutes out of a video. So those particular videos, the only way you're going to see the full version is on Patreon. And going forward, the version on YouTube will have all my thoughts, but not be presented in the way that I want it to be. And a quick update from the edit. I have received a rejection on the dispute that I did for the 73 Yards review. I have not heard back on the appeal. This does not alter any of my overall plans. I'm going to wait a few days to see what the results are on the appeal before I decide what to do with 73 Yards. Most likely I'm going to have to start chopping it up, but I haven't made that call at time of releasing this video. So there we go. That's where we are. That's my day. I have other stuff to do, so I'm going to go try and get that done. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you are having a better day than I have been, and I hope that my week improves from here. Thank you very much for your time. Please remember that you are beautiful, you are valid, and you are loved, especially when things are going rough. Remember that. But for right now, you are the council, and I'm just running the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned. And now to thank my highest supporting patrons: Robin Moore, Zubin Lutfula, Goddess Elida, Oliver B., Melissa Pedersen, Tarak, the thing that goes doink in the anime, Jean Foray, Ulrich Bogdan, Loki Eris, Linda Walters, Jen, Auntie Kate 808, Becky Sparks, Renabulax the Poodle, Tracy Scrabbit, Angry Casperol, Dave Hall, Quite Bearish, Rosalind Bennett, Toku Bluhuvian, Palba Rabajoggle, and Mara G. If you'd like to hear your name in the credits or even just see them, there are rewards on the Patreon, so maybe check those out.